Hello everyone. This is going to be the last video for this week and the last video for this electricity unit. Congratulations, you've nearly made it to the end. After this video, there is a couple of questions for you to practice and then your assignment for this week, and then you'll be done with electricity. So this video is about electricity pricing. So in other words, how much is a home billed for the electricity they use? So each month, a home will be sent a bill. That bill will tell them how much they have to pay based on how much electricity they used during that month. And I want to try to explain to you how this bill is calculated. Well, first of all, I'm going to point your attention to the bottom right corner here. This says prices per demand. Prices shown are effective November 1st, 2019 to April 30th, 2020. Okay, so these are the rates these are the current rates, okay, for this 6-month period from November to April. However, that has changed due to COVID-19, but I'll talk about that in the next slide. So during this period of time, there's 3 prices here. You'll notice on the right-hand side, there's 3 prices. There's 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour. That's called the off-peak rate. And then there's 14.4 cents per kilowatt hour. That's called the mid-peak rate. And then there's 20.8 cents per kilowatt hour. That's called the on-peak rate. Okay, so the red sections are when electricity is going to cost the most. Okay, so if you're using electricity during the times where it's red, you're going to have to pay more for that electricity compared to if you use the electricity while the time was green. So the pie graph on the left here, it's actually a clock. You have midnight at the top here. And then 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. So from midnight all the way to 7 a.m., it's green. That means if you use electricity during that time, you're going to get charged the off-peak rate, which is the cheapest out of all the 3. All right, and that's because, that's the middle of the night. Not many people are using electricity then, so there's not that much pressure on the electricity system for the province, so they can charge you a cheaper rate. However, when you get to 7 a.m., so 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 a.m., that time is labeled red. That's the on-peak rate. So if you use electricity during those times, you're going to have to pay the highest rate of 20.8 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's because everybody is using electricity during that time. That's when people are waking up, getting ready for work or school, going to work and school. So they're turning all the lights on. So a lot of electricity is being used during that time. That puts a lot of pressure on the electricity system for the province. So one way the province tries to handle that pressure is by making electricity more expensive during those times, so that maybe less people will use it, and then that might alleviate some of the pressure on the system. Another red time, the on-peak time, is 5 to 6 to 7 p.m. So that's usually when people get off work. Okay, they get off work, they go home, and maybe they're making dinner around 6 p.m. They're making dinner, and they're using a lot of electricity to make the dinner. So that's another time where the government charges more money for that electricity, once again to discourage people from using it during that time. All right, and in between the yellow section, so that's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., that's the mid-peak rate. Okay, the mid-peak rate is in the middle between the cheapest and the most expensive. And that's what normally happens during the winter. Okay, that's what normally happens for the prices during the winter. And they have a whole different pie graph for the summer. Okay, so the red, yellow, and green zones would actually be a bit different for the summertime. For the weekends and holidays, it's a lot simpler. The whole day is green for the weekend and holidays. That means on Saturday, Sunday, and on holidays like Good Friday we just had, you're only going to be charged 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour the whole day. The whole day for the weekends and holidays. So it's cheaper to use electricity on the weekend. That's why one suggestion would be to do things like laundry and other chores that require a lot of electricity, but maybe they don't have to be done every day. Maybe they only need to be done once a week. And if you're only going to have to do it once a week, better to do it on the weekend because electricity costs less on the weekend. However, this seems really complicated. And this is what happens during normal times. However, things are actually a lot simpler in terms of pricing electricity during this COVID-19 period. Because during COVID-19, the government has announced as part of their emergency measures, they're just going to set the price of electricity to be constant at 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour. The whole day, every day. Okay, so now it does not matter if it's the weekend or the weekday. It does not matter if it's during peak times or during mid-peak times or during off-peak times. Anytime at all during this COVID-19 pandemic, the government of Ontario is going to charge 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour, which matches the green price of normal times, which is the lowest price. Okay, so they're trying to do that because they understand that now that everybody's at home most of the time, people are going to be using more electricity at home, and people are already facing a whole lot of other pressures, so they're going to try to reduce the price of electricity a little bit for us. Okay, now you don't have to thank them just for making it a bit cheaper. You can also thank them because that's going to make your calculations for some of the science work a lot simpler, because now you don't have to worry about which of the three rates to use. You can just use this one and only rate of 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour. So we'll just do a couple of examples. This is how to calculate the electricity cost for a single device. So, for example, let's say you want to know how much money you're going to have to pay for the electricity that your television uses. So the first thing is you're going to have to determine how much energy your television used and calculate that in kilowatt hours. So that is something we did a couple lessons ago. All right, that's why we did that first. So you calculate how much energy it used in kilowatt hours, and then you multiply this amount of energy by the rate or the price, which is 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, that'll give you the total cost. So you take your energy in kilowatt hours and you multiply that by 10.1 cents for every kilowatt hour. Okay, that the result from step 2 will give you your answer in cents. But oftentimes you want to know how much that is in dollars. So after you find out how much it is in cents, you can divide that by 100, and that'll give you the answer in dollars, because there's 100 cents in a dollar. So 2 examples here. Example 1. The EnerGuide label for a refrigerator is shown. How much does the electricity cost to run this fridge for 1 year? What about for 1 month? All right, so we have a fridge. It's plugged in all day. How much money is that going to cost us in terms of the electricity we have to pay for a year? So the EnerGuide label is here, and this number right here, 376 kilowatt hours per year. that tells you how much energy there was. So I listed that here. Energy used in 1 year, 376 kilowatt hours. I've also written down the price of our electricity. And once again, that's 10.1 cents per kilowatt hour. So how much does it cost to use all of these kilowatt hours? Determine the cost. You just multiply these two numbers. Okay, you multiply the kilowatt hours by the price. Cost equals energy times price. So it's 376 times 10.1. You get a calculator out. You push that in the calculator. That comes out to 3,798. I rounded that to the nearest whole number. 3,798. And that's in cents. Okay, that's in cents because the price is reported in cents. So how many dollars is that? Well, you divide that by 100, and that gives you $37.98. So about $38. So if you bought this refrigerator, it's plugged in all year, you're actually going to have to pay about $38 for that fridge, for the electricity that it'll use every year. So how much is that for 1 month? Because normally people like to know how much they're going to be billed every month. Okay, because then you can budget per month. It's easier to do it for a month than for a year. So since there's 12 months in a year, if you want to know the cost for 1 month, you just take the cost for 1 year and you divide it by 12. So this $37.98, that's how much it is for a year. If I divide that by 12, then I get how much it is for 1 month. I put that in the calculator, and the answer is $3.16 per month is what you have to pay for electricity to operate this fridge. This fridge, as you can see by the EnerGuide label, it's among the lower end of electricity usage. Okay, so that means that other similar fridges probably are going to cost more, but this one's on the lower end according to the EnerGuide label. All right, example 2 is a bit more complicated because there's no EnerGuide label here. Let's say that on average you have 3 LED light bulbs turned on throughout the house at any given moment. So that's, I did an estimation there. I just think about my own house, and like right now I've got not a single light bulb on the main floor, and I see some light coming from upstairs, so I think my wife's using some light up there. So really, it's not like I'm using 10 light bulbs at a time. So I just made an estimate. On average, I'm using 3 light bulbs at any given moment. If each light bulb operates at 12 watts, how much will the electricity cost for light bulbs in a 30-day month? Like April right now is 30 days. All right, so this is going to require more steps. First, I figure out how much power my 3 light bulb uses. And that's going to be 36 watts because it's 12 watts each light bulb multiplied by 3 light bulbs. I'm going to divide this number by 1,000 to get into kilowatts. Okay, to get into kilowatts. Now I think about the time. How many hours? It's going to be 720 hours for 30 days. 30 days multiplied by 24 hours a day, that gives me 720 hours. These two numbers, power times time, that'll let me find the energy. And once I know the energy, I can find the cost. So my energy is power times time. These two numbers multiplied together, That's 25.92 kilowatt hours. Then I multiply that by the price, 10.1